Ruthless Aggression. Those two words have a unique effect on people. In some, it might remind them of a time that they had an undying flame inside of them as they fought, scratched, and clawed just for an opportunity to grab the brass ring. In others, it just might remind them of a time where they spent countless Friday nights after school in front of the PS2 or even the 360, just playing the latest WWE game at the time, a moment that they never fully realized they would hold on to for the rest of their lives. So again, I say those two words have a unique effect on people, and that's why I'm talking to you today about why WWE 2K27 should be dedicated to the Ruthless Aggression Era. Now, like always, the thing that pretty much got me going to make this video to even discuss this was a tweet from Cornell. Now, Cornell, he tweets out a lot. Sometimes he's kind of cryptic, just like we saw a couple of months ago with the Kane 01 and, Slow Chemical, etc., etc. But earlier this week, he kind of set the community on fire because Cornell tweeted out a video of Batista, 2005 Batista specifically, when he was World Heavyweight Champion, and it's got people talking. People are speculating, are we going to see Batista 05 in the Season 4 Ringside Pass next month? The Season 4 Ringside Pass will come out July 22nd, and I've seen a lot of people now speculate, are we going to get Batista 2005, and if we do, will we get him in his Vengeance Day attire? Which I'm actually going to come back to that later on, but that does bring a good question as well, because we know we're going to get a new retro Trish Stratus model. We know we're going to get 2 new Hardy Boys retro models in that Season 4 Ringside Pass. We know we're going to get a new Leader retro model as well. So I think this would kind of be the perfect time, because we keep getting all of these new returning superstars in different forms from this type of time period. And that really does kind of bring me to the whole next question of, if 2K does decide to do a Ruthless Aggression Era game, imagine just how many returning superstars we're going to get. And I already know, as crazy as it might sound, I think 2K is kind of testing the waters for the potential of a Ruthless Aggression themed game. Now hold on, just hear me out. Truthfully, the closest we've gotten to it in recent years, I want to say was 2K23, and it was solely because of John Cena and his showcase. But I want you to take this into consideration. In the recent years, 2K has added some pretty interesting people, both people we've never seen and just, returning superstars. So, hear me out. We had Abyss. We had Retro AJ Styles. We had Billy Gunn. We had Brock Lesnar 03, who's literally in this game as well. The Dudleys came back. We got a CM Punk 08. D'Lo Brown has returned. Goldberg has returned. We had John Cena 03. Great Khali came back. We got Kane 01. Even and the list continues to go on and on. We've got Kelly. This might even be a little bit controversial. We had Mr. Perfect, and this one I'm saying is going to be controversial. I know what you're already saying, but he didn't wrestle in the Ruthless Aggression Era, technically. And I'm just saying here, I'm going to go off of 2K rules, because 2K, they're counting years based on if a person even just had one single appearance in like a specific attire. So I'm going to hold that same standard. If somebody appeared just even once or twice in this era, then I say, hey, why not put him in the game? And Mr. Perfect, he technically did wrestle one actual match in the Ruthless Aggression Era before he got cut, and unfortunately he did pass away not too long after that. So technically, he was in the Ruthless Aggression Era. We have Scott Steiner 03, Stacy Keibler, and somebody else who, again, I'm going to use a technicality here, Terry Funk. He had a one-off appearance, I think, One Night Stand 2006, so I'm going to count him. Tori Wilson, Trish Stratus, Umaga, and then even you want to count some of the models that just haven't made a return since 2K23. We had the Leviathan version of Batista, Randy Orton 02, the prototype version of John Cena, etc., etc. I think you could also make an argument that there's also the potential for 2K to explore more retro models of wrestlers who are currently in the game, even if they weren't in WWE at that specific time period. For example, instead of the Great Muta, what if we got Keiji Muto? What if we had a young Shinsuke Nakamura? Now, this one has been kind of the subject of debate for years, but there was actually a point in time where Ultimate Warrior, he was in discussions to come back in the Attitude Era, and then again at the start of the Ruthless Aggression Era. And so I gotta say, would this be an interesting idea as well? We have, a what if version of him, and we place it in a DLC pack called Alternate History, or just something like that. I think it would also be cool to see the return of Hollywood Rock, or even cooler if we got the sheriff version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I could even see them using him specifically, as like a playable GM for GM mode. What if he had some sort of a buff like, if you book a brawl, you get a higher chance of having a 5-star match, or maybe it'll cost 50% less. Maybe the superstars will have a 25% less chance of becoming injured in the match. Just something cool that they could kind of incorporate to, his whole style of brawling and just raising hell. I think it would be really interesting to see him as a playable character in GM. But something else I do want to touch on specifically, since we're talking about potential returns, the Ruthless Aggression Era witnessed a lot of talent. That's just pretty much an understatement. Another example I do want to use, and I got to use the whole technicality thing again, but this would just be a cool way for you to be able to bring them back, the Road Warriors. Now, they only briefly wrestled one match, I think May of 2006. I think they answered like an open challenge on an episode of Raw. But again, man, my rule, if they appeared once, I'm just gonna count them. And then since we're talking about returning stars, somebody else I think would be cool to see come back, Chavo Guerrero. And honestly, I don't think we've seen Chavo in a game since WWE 13. And even along with him, we could see even more returns. Billy Kidman, Sabu, Chris Jericho. Hell, if you remember, Jericho and Sabu, they were supposed to be in 2K26, or at least somewhere along development, it was planned, because they have stuff in the game, files for them. Jericho had an entirely new character entry, so maybe we could see it in 2K27. There's the whole thing, with him being in AEW. We don't know how long his contract is, but I think if Billy Gunn can appear in the games despite having a contract with AEW, if DDP, Jake the Snake, if they could all still do it, be in the WWE games with a Legends deal, despite, the work they were doing in AEW, I think we could see Jericho do it, because he is one of the few people that, since his time in AEW, we've still seen him on WWE programming. I can't remember, was it 2021 or was it 22 when he came onto the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast? I know during one of the things, it was something, I can't remember what year, but it was something they did for John Cena. I think it might have been his 20th anniversary. I think they had, was it Bryan Danielson? And I know they had Chris Jericho pop up leaving a message. So we could still see him if they would have signed some sort of an agreement and he get a Legends contract. And I think we could see the similar thing there with Edge, because Edge didn't necessarily leave on bad terms. And again, Edge, like I said in the Mick Foley video, Edge played a huge role in the Ruthless Aggression Era. Now, of course, like I said, Mick Foley said he wants absolutely nothing to do with WWE, so that bridge is just totally burned. That's one match we could scratch off, but I think, we could still potentially maybe see Edge sign that contract someday. Christian, maybe, possibly. I'm not really sure, but just something, food for thought. And then something else I do want to mention as well, I think it's time to go to the Ruthless Aggression Era, because the Attitude Era, it's pretty much been done to death. No offense if that's what you love, if that's your favorite era. At this point, they've pretty much done the Attitude Era almost every other year. In the past 15 years, we've had 9 games. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. We have had 9 games with either an Attitude Era / Monday Night War themed showcase, or just matches from that era. At this point, it's just time to move on to new eras, or to just simply bring back the road to WrestleMania. Either way, man, we know with 2K, they're just going to want to do something that brings them money. Which, let's face it, 2K only cares about money. Let's just state the obvious. But now, this is where things get interesting. So, Take-Two Interactive, 2K devs, anybody who might be concerned, I want you to really sit here and listen. Now, if you guys want to make the most profit possible in a way that's consumer friendly, then you should make this game. The demographics that spend the most money on video games, guess who? Millennials and Gen Z. Guess what? Guess what demographic experienced the Ruthless Aggression Era? Millennials and Gen Z. I mean, dude, you can just literally go hop on Instagram, TikTok, even maybe YouTube Shorts, because I've seen them, and you can just search in Ruthless Aggression or WWE nostalgia, I am willing to bet, I am willing to guarantee that one of the first things you're going to see is going to be some sort of a SmackDown edit saying how early or mid 2000 SmackDown raised an entire generation. And you know, whether people like to admit it or not, nostalgia sells. I mean, hell, why do you think GTA 6 is recording unreal levels of hype and revenue solely in pre-orders when they've shown no gameplay? Nostalgia. And WWE 2K26 itself, it sold really well. I mean, hell, it was a top 3 game. I want to say maybe as far as May. It was a top 3 game as far as May. Literally the only games that outsold it was MLB The Show, and then of course Resident Evil 9, which is honestly probably going to be game of the year, if not GTA 6 because of the hype. Even if you were to add games like Crimson Desert, it's still probably going to come out in the top 10, top 15 by the time we get to the end of the year. Maybe still top 20, top 30. I think top 30 is still more of a guarantee. Top 20, because so many games are coming out this year, it might get knocked out, possibly. So imagine if they went all in on the Ruthless Aggression Era. Now of course it goes without saying, you're not going to get the GTA 6 numbers, but that nostalgia factor will still get you high sales. Then you also got to remember that the two biggest demographics, millennials and Gen Z, these two demographics also have young children now. You think they wouldn't be enticed to use this game as some sort of a vessel to teach their kids about the era that they got to witness when they were younger? You don't think people would do it? This is something that I can personally speak to, because in my own experience, one of the reasons that I did become a huge WWE fan was because it was kind of like history. And when I'm saying that, to say it in the sense of Call of Duty when I was a kid. The older campaigns, you had a lot of the action and stuff, the cool writing, the cool stories, but it was still cool to see true events like, you know, you see stuff in Vietnam. You know, you might see something like the War on Terror. Even if it was kind of fabricated, it was still based on real events, you know, World War II. And you got to see occasionally real people. I think Black Ops 1, it had JFK, Robert McNamara, Fidel Castro, and it inspired me to learn about these things. In a weird way, WWE games kind of had a similar thing, because I didn't know what an Attitude Era was, not until I played WWE 13. I didn't know what a WCW was, not until I played WWE 12. I didn't know what a D-Generation X was until like one day I was playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, and my cousin was telling me like, you know, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they used to be in a team. And I was like, the whole WWE 12 road to WrestleMania, and how all of the older guys from WCW, they kind of wanted revenge and they wanted to take over. Dude, that was the first time I ever saw Vader. And ever since then, Vader has been one of those dudes he's one of my favorite old school wrestlers, because it was just so cool to see him in the game. I think he did like a moonsault. And I remember it was kind of insane. On one hand, I was upset because he kicked my character's ass, you know, the whole Jacob Cash storyline, if you know, you know. But then it was also like, it was cool to learn about these people. The Attitude Era in WWE 13. I didn't know Mike Tyson appeared in WWE. It was cool to see. Learning about Stone Cold, which, you know, I obviously knew who Stone Cold was, but I didn't know his backstory. I didn't know about The Rock and Mankind, you know, the whole empty arena match, what it was at halftime heat. So to sit there and get the chance to learn about this stuff, it was cool. I didn't know who in the hell a Ken Shamrock was. Got to see him in the game, learn about him. It was cool. And I think that doing this with the Ruthless Aggression Era, you could also teach the younger generation who never got to experience it. And so if I had to give you my idea of what possible matches would I go about showing them to kind of get the point across, to show them how important this era was, I'm going to go in order. I said aura. I'm going to go in order of like the year it happened. And I'm really including matches that I think are kind of realistic that 2K would include. And so I think it goes without saying, The Rock versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2002. The first Elimination Chamber match at Survivor Series 02. Now, the one thing that's going to be kind of tricky about this one, you're going to need Jericho, because Jericho was in the match. Again, if they can get him on some sort of a Legends deal, this will be the perfect match to include. Triple H and Shawn Michaels in that 3 Stages of Hell match at Armageddon 2002. I think this match was showcased in 2K15, but since we actually do have, a 3 Stages of Hell match in 2K26, and assuming it's going to carry over in 27, I think that would kind of be the perfect time to actually do this match. Then I think it's kind of obvious here, you can't really do any sort of a Ruthless Aggression Era showcase without including arguably the greatest in-ring talent, if not Shawn Michaels, arguably the greatest in-ring talent of this era, Kurt Angle. And I'm specifically saying Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, the infamous WrestleMania match where Brock almost broke his neck. Then speaking of Brock, I want to say Eddie Guerrero against him at No Way Out 2005. I think, everyone loves Eddie. Every chance they get to speak highly of him, especially, like with the Rey Mysterio showcase. This year in the CM Punk showcase, CM Punk spoke highly of him. So I think something that would be great to honor him as well, include his first WWE Championship win, No Way Out 2005. I think it would be really cool to see them do it, especially with the whole slingshot tech. Then again, I think they kind of renamed it or got rid of it with something else this year. Then like I mentioned at the start of the video, if we get Batista 05 in 26, I think most likely whatever attire they give him, it would carry over to 27. And I'm saying it because what if they do Vengeance 2005? Him and Triple H inside of Hell in a Cell. Then we got Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21. Undertaker and Batista at WrestleMania 23. Now here's one that I think would really be fun to play back to back. John Cena versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 23. In a lot more different ways than one. And then we can do Shawn Michaels and John Cena. I think it was 1 or 2 weeks later after their WrestleMania match where they had that legendary 1 hour long Iron Man match. Okay, I can see that one might kind of be a pain to play through, but you get the point. Hell, I'm even saying John Cena and Sabu at Vengeance of 2006. And then where I really want to take things to make it even more interesting, we know in 26 they had what if matches. I think in 25 they had some. And I know in John Cena, his showcase, it pretty much was entirely what if, because you were just kind of rewriting matches he lost. But remember at the start of this video how I said we could do like a alternate history pack and how we could include people like, since they added Abyss. Well, this is where things kind of get interesting. So I got a couple of what if matches. Now Abyss, WWE did try to bring him in around the time of 2006. They wanted him to come in at the Royal Rumble, and they did ultimately want him to face Undertaker at WrestleMania. Since Abyss is in the game, he's a WWE employee. What if in 2K27, Ruthless Aggression Era Showcase mode, we get a what if scenario? What if Abyss faced Undertaker at WrestleMania? Another what if. Now this one, I'm kind of stretching it, but AJ Styles, he was in WCW. WWE bought, they acquired WCW. They did offer him a developmental contract because he still wrestled for them technically maybe a couple of months. But in 2002, they did offer him a full developmental contract. He didn't take it. So I want to say a what if he did take it. We know at some point Shawn Michaels is going to come back. Shawn Michaels come back. We can say it's a couple of years down the road. We get a young AJ Styles against Shawn Michaels in a big what if scenario. And then we're not done with Shawn Michaels because unfortunately WWE did have a dream match planned at WrestleMania 22. For those of you who don't know, Eddie Guerrero was supposed to fight Shawn Michaels, but unfortunately Eddie passed away. It's a match we never got to see. What if we got it in a what if scenario in WWE 2K27? Another match that I can also see you doing in a what if scenario, what if Bret Hart never got injured by Goldberg all the way back in WCW? And so what if we got to see Bret Hart taking on a young AJ Styles? Can you just even imagine how crazy that would be? Hell, we could even do Bret Hart against Kurt Angle. Like, dude, do you know how insane the possibilities for these matches? Hell, if we had Edge in the game, we could do what if Bret Hart faced Edge? And so that's what I'm saying, man. 2K could really do a lot of things with 2K27 in a just Ruthless Aggression themed story mode, showcase, whatever you want to call it. whether it's the WWE 12 route, where they kind of find some sort of way to make it an original story, or if you just go the whole showcase route. I think it could work either way. But if I had to do a preference, I would probably say maybe do the showcase, because I don't know if they could write a meaningful story like the one we had in WWE 12, or would it just come off as like a carbon copy. But I think it would still be kind of cool to at least even attempt it, consider it, and just do something with it. And then I also think the PG era, the reality era, those eras were just way too recent. There's no point in us doing a showcase, because look at it like this. Why in the hell are we going to do a showcase of something that was just 10 years ago? I mean, like, that just wouldn't even make much sense. You can literally still go out and buy a copy of WWE 2K17 for probably what, $15? But I mean, hey, that's just my opinion. Ultimately though, man, I think it will be cool, a bit of a new refresh, a new start. Give us something new. The Attitude Era was a great time, legendary, but I don't really see the point of us continuing to just come back to it year after year after year. And I think most players would be appreciative of them switching it up. And again, man, people have been claiming and asking for Ruthless Aggression Story Mode era for the longest of time. In my comments, hell, in the Mick Foley video, I saw people in the comments saying it. In the WWE game subreddit, I constantly see people saying it. Anytime I see somebody make a TikTok of like their universe mode and it's a Ruthless Aggression themed era, I see people saying, man, what if they actually did this for the game? So I think in conclusion, 2K knows what we want. Their question is going to be, will they ever do anything about it? But ultimately, if this is your first time stopping by the channel, go ahead and get that leg ready. Since we've been talking about Shawn Michaels, go ahead and tune that band up. I want you to hit that like button with the meanest, I mean the absolute meanest, sweet chin music that you could possibly do. And if your leg give out, I don't know what to tell you. But since Batista is kind of the sole reason for this video, I want to go ahead and say, man, I want you to go ahead and grab that subscribe button. I want you to kick it. I want you to raise it up on your shoulders. And then I want you to hit it with the absolute hardest Batista bomb you could possibly do. But man, either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Would you like to see a Ruthless Aggression Era game? Are you sad to see the Attitude Era go? Do you want them to still keep Attitude Era based content? I'm just kind of curious, man. Do you even think 2K would even consider doing it? But either way, man, your boy getting ready to sign out. Take it easy.